It's time to yap about something that I've been wanting to yap about for a while, and I kind of just, it's on my list of videos that I wanted to make, so let's go ahead and get into it. And it's basically about how gaming, at this point, it doesn't just feel like entertainment anymore. It, for me personally, feels like therapy. And I'm not talking about like replacing actual therapy. I just mean games have pretty much become a mental reset button for a lot of us. I think when you sit down at the end of a long day and you've had a rough day and your life can be just chaotic and there's so much going on, I think it's just nice to have that reset button. It's nice to have a world that you can escape to that brings you a sense of joy, it brings you a sense of wonder. It does something to me personally that just it kind of quiets all of those things because life right now is really loud. It's there's constantly notifications appearing on my phone. On the TV, you see these freaking doom scrolling news stories about how everything's going to hell, and there's work that can be stressful, money can be stressful, and none of that stuff ever really turns off. So when you play a game, it just kind of even if it's chaotic, even if it's calm, depends. You're finally getting some kind of objective that can give you something to do. It gives you something to work towards, and it kind of just pulls you out of just the craziness of reality. And I think that's really important for people. In games, they give you a sense of structure. There's clear goals, there's clear progress, there's clear rewards, and it's something that real life doesn't always give you. And it's nice to have that. It's nice to have something to work towards, something to grind, something that pulls you out of the chaos. And games for me really do that, and they just really help. Um, they just help me quiet my mind and stuff like that. And one good thing about games is that your effort in those games it equals progress. You can grind, you can level up, you practice the game, you improve, and that's a powerful feedback loop. And I think it's really important to have that in your life because without it, things can feel empty. Even replayable comfort games like Left 4 Dead 2 or sandbox spaces like Roblox, they can feel grounding because they're familiar and they're predictable. It's something you can come back to after a crazy week, and it just gives you that escape and it gives you that structure that you kind of crave because life's chaos. Sometimes life just doesn't feel very structured and it gets crazy, it gets stressful, it gets scary. For me personally, a lot of things can be really scary, and games kind of silence all of that. Familiarity lowers your anxiety, and if you know the maps and you know the mechanics, you kind of know what's coming next. So it's something that can be familiar, especially when you start getting used to the game. It's something that can be really, it can bring a sense of familiarity and it can give you, it's kind of like a comfort thing for me. Just games are my comfort zone, especially when I'm just casually playing and stuff like that. And I know in some of the games I verse bots, but it's just really fun to have that casual feedback loop. And then, I can just make content out of doing something. Because when I was a kid, I used to play Star Wars Battlefront 2 all the time, and I'd verse bots in that game, just versing the AI, and it was very casual, and it felt like an escape. Online games, they also create low pressure social interaction. So you can talk, joke, or just exist around other people without the craziness and the intensity of real world social pressure. So online games really help with camaraderie and having just playing with your buddies. It's really fun. And for people who struggle with anxiety or overthinking, games can kind of force you into the present moment. And you can't worry about tomorrow when a tank just spawned or a round just started. Your brain has to focus on right now. And something that pulls you out of like, if you're just freaking drowning in your own thoughts, something that pulls you forward and pulls you to the present moment can really, it can kind of cure that a little bit. And there's also something therapeutic about the controlled chaos of playing games. Um, the intense moments in the games don't feel dangerous like, some real life situations can feel. Like if you're cleaning a fryer with spraying hot oil into the fryer and it can splash and hit your face and give you third degree burns. It's like, oh, well, games, if you're doing that in a game, you would feel safe. So games, they're a safe place for a lot of people. And unlike social media, games, they reward your participation instead of, constantly comparing yourself to others. And that's one place that I kind of feel guilty of, is having to compare myself to a bunch of people. When I was on social media all the time, and YouTube's the only platform that I'm going to focus on. I'm not going to focus on Facebook. I'm not going to focus on Instagram. I'm not going to focus on TikTok. YouTube is my place. It's the only social media. I have a personal Facebook, but I'm not going to make that public. But yeah, unlike social media, games, they can reward your participation instead of giving you a constant sense of comparison. And you're not scrolling past someone else's highlight reel. You're building your own progress in real time. And in a world that feels unpredictable, games, they can give you control, and control is calming. Having control over the situations of the game and stuff like that, it gives you that sense. You know, a lot of people feel like they're losing control of their lives. They feel like they're losing control of the things that they have in their life, their jobs, their finances, stuff like that. It's all beyond our control. Like, one bad thing can make us to the point where we're almost homeless or have to ask our wealthier relatives for money. But yeah, maybe gaming in 2026, it's therapy because it replaces, not because it replaces real help, but it gives us structure, it gives us focus, it gives us community, and it gives us a break from everything else. And honestly, that's what I need. That's what we need sometimes, you know, just getting a break from all that stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching the video. Games for me, they've always felt like therapy to me. And I remember back in the day playing Oblivion on my Xbox 360, messing around with the duplication glitch and all that fun stuff. I played Mass Effect, played a lot of Left 4 Dead. I played a lot of Grand Theft Auto. I think one of my favorite games of all time, the game that I kept trying to play the most, was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Because at the time, my mom, she wouldn't let me play rated mature games because my stepdad was like he was a really religious person, and he was very strict about like content ratings and stuff like that. So he wouldn't let us play he wouldn't let us play Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, or Turok, or any of those games because they were rated mature. But I kept getting copies from my friends, and I mean, I must have had like 5 copies of that game, and eventually she just gave up, and she's like, "Hey, just don't tell your stepdad," which I thought was really cool of her because they always got into it. My stepdad was not a nice person, so she kind of just went behind his back, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you can just play the games," because she gave up because I kept getting copies of San Andreas. And for me, San Andreas was really therapeutic. It was an escape from life because my home life was freaking crazy at that point, and it was stressful, and it was scary because my stepdad would I think he was kind of abusive. I don't know. I don't want to go into too much detail, but he was definitely he definitely put us through a lot. And not that we were easy to handle. Of course, my family's always been crazy. I would get in trouble at school a lot and stuff like that, but yeah, the San Andreas felt like therapy to me. So yeah, it was really fun. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.